Is your rent about to rise? If the Department of Housing and Urban Development gets its way, low-income tenants could pay about 20% more for their rent. Secretary Ben Carson has said the proposal will help people be more self-sufficient, but others disagree. Elton Ogden, president of the Berkshire Housing Development Corporation, discussed what the changes could mean for some people in this region.
I don't understand really what it's trying to accomplish. You know, if it's about, is it about really encouraging people to work, or is it just about saving money? I think it doesn't seem to really be well designed to accomplish either of those goals. I mean, in terms of people working, the fact is that over 50% of people who are on the Section 8 program are either elderly or disabled, and 75% of the remaining people are already working or subject to work requirements. So it's a very small, percentage of people who receive that assistance.
Because as the proposal stands, and this would require congressional approval, so it is only a proposal at this point, but
Correct.
From Secretary Carson's office, one of the pieces of this was the point that they said it would be designed to help people or encourage people to go out and work. There's also a requirement a provision in there that would say that housing authorities could mandate that people work. What's your understanding of that particular piece of it?
Well, I don't think it's well fleshed out. I mean, I think I don't know what they have in mind when they say that. There's already some very effective models around the country under both the Move to Work program, which is a particular
subset, right?
A subset of, it's under the same budget, the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher program. And then there's also the Family Self-Sufficiency program, which is also a program within Housing Choice Vouchers. And both of those are really designed to encourage people and reward people for improving their education, getting better work skills, and ultimately improving or finding work and more work that pays a living wage. So I don't understand why you would just kind of come up with the approach where you're mandating work as opposed to really creating using those federal dollars to help people achieve that aim. So, I mean, again, an example, we chatted about before is why would you eliminate a child care deduction when that's one of the main impediments to say a single head of household who's a full-time caregiver?
Because as the program works now, families can get $480, I think it is, per child that they're allowed to deduct off of their income, right?
Yes, I believe that's true.
And so
Correct.
The way the proposal stands right now, it would eliminate that credit or deduction and also a few others for health care and things of that nature. So
Correct.
As you were explaining to me that this would also sort of, in essence, raise the rent in a different way, as you see it.
It would limit who are really able to utilize the program. It's going to squeeze it down even further.
And so the Associated Press did a report that looked at, how much the rent would increase for people in different areas, and Springfield was on that report, and it said $690 a year on average for people who are using the housing program. That's a big increase for some folks. And I know the number's not exactly certain yet in Berkshire County, but have you heard from people, concerned tenants, about this proposal, about what that would mean for them, $690 or so? I
think what is important to shine a light on is the percentage of people who are rent burdened regardless, meaning they spend more than 30% of their income on housing.
And so that's what that rent burden freeze refers to.
That's the typical formula that's used for it. And if you look at the percentage of only a fraction of people in Berkshire County have rental assistance, and yet over 60% of renters are rent burdened. It's taking, by raising people's rent, and that's really, I think, you're going to, by eliminating deductions, you're going to make the qualifying income higher, so their share of the rent is going to go up. It's only going to take people who are barely scraping by and just giving them even less money in their pocket, and how that's supposed to help them gain self-sufficiency is part of what doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, because one of the things that Secretary Carson said is he's talked about this proposal, which was released in April, but as he's talked about it in the months since then, he said that the idea is sort of if we raise rents, people will work more, and that's how we will sort of make those two ends meet. You've been involved in this issue, worked in the Housing Development Corporation for a number of years. Have you seen that if you raise their rents, if you raise people's rents, then they work more?
Well, I mean, one of the definite flaws of the program and is not being corrected by this proposal is the fact that as your income goes up, you have a proportionate increase in your rent. So it's almost a perverse incentive not to work. Whereas some of the models that I was referring to earlier, move to work, family self-sufficiency, they give people an opportunity to benefit from the increase. They don't immediately face a rent increase as they gain more income. So they're able, for the example, the family self-sufficiency program, the amount that they would normally be putting into rent goes into an escrow account that they're able to save, and if they continue to work after a number of years, they're able to access those funds to pay for education. We've had people who have in our family self-sufficiency program who have gone from unemployed, single head of household to registered nurse and buying homes, all with a jump start from the federal rental housing money.
So how is it decided who goes into those different categories, the different subsets that you're talking about?
So the family self-sufficiency program is available. Most housing authorities, most larger housing authorities have it, and then it's really a matter of any participant in the Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program can go into that if they're willing to agree to develop a plan and stick with the plan and work, continue to work on either education or work on, gaining job skills or working. So it's
a matter of
available.
Sort of talking to people
available.
About what's available to them.
That's
then.
correct. And it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of,
sort of tenacity, it sounds like.
Tenacity, exactly. Yeah.
For you, as I mentioned before, you've worked in this industry for a number of years. You have a lot of institutional knowledge when it comes to this particular issue, and you've also, worked under the Department of Housing and Urban Development under different presidential administrations. How has this evolved through the years?
Well, I think one of the things that most people don't realize is that we're spending less than 50% on our HUD budget now as we were in 1978 in real dollars.
Over almost 40 years ago.
So the budget has been continually slashed under every administration, essentially since the Carter presidency, and so that's the kind of that's the ground floor we're working from, and for many years. We had administrations in Washington that clearly didn't believe that the federal government had any business in housing, and whittled away at the programs. And certainly we've had administrations that have been a lot more supportive of some of the programs that HUD and is trying to accomplish. But it's been a battle. It's been a slow. There's been a slow restoration of levels of funding, but we're at less than half of where that level of support was, 40 years ago. So,
well, as I said, these are proposed changes right now under Secretary Carson. We'll have you back to keep us updated. Thanks for coming in.
You're welcome. My pleasure.